Hey, welcome to Picking Daisies, the podcast where we dive into all things messy, beautiful, and a little bit chaotic. I'm Mary Hendricks, your hot mess of a host, ready to walk with you through every laughable, cry-worthy, and grow-worthy moment. Every Tuesday, join me and an incredible lineup of fellow moms, women, and experts as they share their own stories of growth, resilience, and silver linings that they've uncovered. Together, we're building a village, a reminder that even in the thick of it, you are truly never alone. Because let's be real, we all have our mess. Everyone's got those moments. But here, we are finding the beauty in it, also the humor, and growing from whatever life and motherhood may bring our way. Welcome to Picking Daisies. Hello. Welcome back, Picking Daisies. This is the podcast that is equal parts heart, chaos, and what the fuck is going on? Seriously, though. And today we are going to talk about teeth. Yes, teeth. Joining me today is Brianna Reiser, former dental professional, but also the VP of experience at Toothpillow, a genius little invention aiming to improve kids' dental health and also address things like sleep apnea. We talk about why early intervention in orthodontics matters, how sleep is tied to your kid's mood. Spoiler, they're not always just acting out. They might just be exhausted because at night they might not be breathing as well as they should be. And also just the mental gymnastics of being a mom. We are also going to get into why moms need more support and less judgment. Her story is inspiring. Her mission is so needed. And this conversation is so packed with information that you won't realize you needed. I honestly left this, called my husband and told him so much. And I said specifically when this episode comes out, you need to listen to it because personally, this is something I think everyone could probably use, but especially my kids who we already are knowing are going to need major orthodontic care. Whether you were or have a thumbsucker, a mouth breather, or a pacifier lover like my 3.5-year-old who I am contemplating on getting rid of that sucker in about 2 weeks and I'm so scared. We'll see how that goes. Or if you just have a gut feeling that something is off with your kid's sleep or teeth, this episode is a must listen. So let's get into it. All right. Hi, Brianna.
Hi, so nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you. Okay. Hi, everyone. I have Brianna here. I have Brianna no, say your last name.
Reiser.
Okay. I was going to say Reiser, and I was like, I'm going to say that wrong. Okay. Good. We have Brianna Reiser here, and we are going to be talking all things mom life, business, woman life, but also Toothpillow. And I want to hear about that just because I'm so fascinated by that. I was like looking all into it and I'm like, my kids need it desperately, but we can talk more. So before we get in, I obviously just introduced her before we started, but I want you to introduce yourself and help us get to know you.
Yeah, so there's no short story, I think, to me, because this is the first time in my life that I really feel like all the little milestones and life situations have really led me here. And it feels so crazy, so serendipitous. And I'm not one of those people that talk like that. But just looking back, I'm like, this is where I was meant to be. I was meant to be doing this.
Yeah.
And so, my name is Brianna, or I mostly go by Bree. And I've worked in dentistry for 14 years. For whatever weird reason, since I was a little girl, I wanted to work in dentistry.
So funny.
Such an odd thing.
Are you a dentist itself? Did you go to medical training for dentistry?
No. So I started out as a dental assistant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
there you go.
I was trying to get to be a hygienist. And I think what it was, to be honest, I had this beautiful hygienist when I was a little girl and I loved going to see her. And I thought she was the coolest person in the world. And from that day, I thought, I'm going to go become a hygienist, but it's really hard to get in to hygiene school where I'm at. So I was like, I'll become an assistant and eventually go back. Well, I became an assistant, got married, started having babies. And then before you know it, going back to school is like nowhere on your radar.
Mm-hmm.
But what's really cool is I kind of took a different path. I started managing multiple practices, helping doctors open new locations. And then I found myself teaching dental assisting. And this is where I was like, I'll retire here because I got to mix all of my loves, which is teaching, because, I love that. I'm still working in dentistry and you kind of become a little bit of a therapist because a lot of these girls going to trade schools, and I say girls because we're so lucky to get a boy in this field, like mostly they're girls. But a lot of times when you're going to a trade school, you have a lot of life also going on at home. And they came with a lot of obstacles. So I got to kind of mentor them through that and, watch them achieve this. And they still keep in contact with me. They'll say,
That's awesome.
office manager, I went back to hygiene school. And so I really thought I would retire there. I never in my wildest dreams ever thought I was going to leave that job. But around that time, my friend who was working for Vivos, which is a company that creates the Toothpillow devices. So we'll talk more about that. But she said, hey, can you watch these training videos for these doctors and write tests? Because when you offer continuing education, they have to have a test to prove you watched it. And I was like, yeah, I'll take a side hustle, get some extra money. And
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, perfect. And little did I know watching that would absolutely change my life because 3 months prior to this, my mom had passed away.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And she had a lot of battles, but one of her biggest one being sleep apnea. And I vividly remember when she got diagnosed, I was 8 and she fell asleep at work and she would fall asleep driving. And I just remember my dad saying, you have to go figure out what's wrong.
Yeah.
And so she had a sleep test, severe sleep apnea. And like most, especially back then, they just get handed a CPAP machine that they probably don't wear.
Yeah.
And then from there, I just watched her health decline. She started having more and more issues, diabetes, just constant heart problems. And when we look back at old photos and videos of her, we often say, wow, look how good she looked back then.
Yeah.
Wow. And I always just took it like I need really good health insurance because my genetics are not it. And that's just what I always thought. And I'm watching these trainings and I'm connecting the dots of underdeveloped jaws leads to underdeveloped airways, which leads to mouth breathing and a whole slew of health problems.
Yeah.
I'm watching these videos on, so the education is dental sleep medicine. So all these patients have sleep apnea. And
Yeah.
I'm bawling my eyes out because I'm like, that's my mom. Like, that is her mouth. Those are her symptoms. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, my mind is blown away. And I'm
Blown.
so sad that nobody ever talked about that. And
Yeah.
a lot of the case studies that they're presenting are 30-year-olds. And
Yeah.
they looked like my mom, because when she was first diagnosed, relatively healthy. You wouldn't look at her and say, you have sleep apnea. Now, by the time she passed away, yes, she had that.
Yeah.
But these men, women are going through this expansion. They're getting their airways open and their sleep tests are coming back now negative. They no longer have sleep apnea. They're coming off medications and they're living healthier lives. And I'm like, holy guacamole. And so,
Yeah.
but because this was so fresh, I called my friend and I said, can't do it. I can't do it. I'm so mad. I'm angry because I've worked in dentistry for 14 years at this time and had nobody told me this.
Yeah.
No dentist talks about this. And she gave me the wisest advice. And she's like, nope, you're going to take all that and you're going to come work with us and you're going to
Yeah.
put mission behind it. So I left a job that I loved and I came working for this company and then I got to see what they can do for kids.
Yeah.
So working, my role there was in the continuing education department. So a lot of my job is just reviewing case studies. So fun because I get to watch the
Yeah,
symptoms
you
go
get to see
away.
it all go. Yeah. I mean, and when we started talking, you were like, this is very serendipitous. That's the word that I've been searching for because I don't know if you've been following on my Instagram or any of that. We lost our pet bird. This is like a side note for everyone listening.
Yeah.
We have a pet bird. I'm a big animal lover.
And I have 2 guinea pigs over there that probably will squeal at some point.
Yeah, they're like I'm weird, but like, and they're little animals that like if you connect with an animal, like this one sitting on me right now, you have a connection with them. Anyway, we lost our bird; it flew away, which is like a killer. So fingers crossed it comes back. But like I was awful like when it happened, but I then kept thinking I bought this bird. I brought this bird into my life. We named him Chappie. And it was because it was first a reason, but Chappie made us happy is what we used to say. And I was sharing it on Instagram and I'm like, I'm not a big believer in like it's cat. hold on, as we speak about animals, and this is a side conversation. Now we're getting into teeth and animals, but that's how I love these conversations. Was I had said, I was like, I brought this bird into my life because I was mentally struggling, and he came in, and it's everyone keeps saying it's like my Mary Poppins bird. I kind of feel like that. I woke up on my birthday. He flew away on my birthday, but I woke up the night before. I was like, I finally feel good. Like I finally feel like something has, like I've turned a leaf. Like mentally, I went through a struggle. He was there during that. He made me really get better. And then the morning I was waking up 35 and actually like at peace with where I was at, he was gone. And I'm like not a big believer in a plan, but I'm a big believer in finding a reason for things that happen. And when things like that, like when you finding that, like it's so weird, like hearing a story like that where like when I come in stories like even just the bird, I'm like, I don't know, I'm like it's like poetic and
Yeah.
like yeah, I don't know, but I love hearing this right now because I just think it's like come on, like I just think
Yeah.
that's wild. Like I don't know if
I
you believe in your mom and
oh,
signs or all that stuff, but like in the afterlife and whatnot, but I mean
well, I've
if
like turned a leaf because I used to just be like, I just didn't talk that way. Like I didn't, and I just felt like, yeah, we're where we're at because we made decisions. And I don't know. I
yeah,
maybe I was
I
like
was the same, I was the
I'm a
same.
cynical person or something. But
Yeah,
after experiencing this, like, and even the story of Toothpillow and how it was created, like, we often are in like meetings, like, this is so crazy, like how
it's
everything just
weird
keeps working
happen.
out. And so I'm like, I'm a full believer and I'm like, this is so cool. Like there's no other explanation for how like all of these people in this room found each other and we're all on this mission. It's it's really
Yeah.
cool. And
I'm a big let go and let in, but like I'm trying not to overthink it. So I don't try overthinking, but I also think I think it's not it was maybe cynical, but I think it was fear. Like for me,
yeah.
because I was the same way. I was not someone I don't even like I don't know. I've dealt with my share of trauma and different stuff like that, but like just, life and I think it was fear. Like you kind of just don't want to bring that stuff in because there's like an ounce of hope kind of somewhere in there. And that's scary. And joy, I think, is scary to like let us have that. But once
And
you feel it, it's weird. It's like a weird, peaceful, trusting feeling. So
it's
trying
so
to,
crazy that like I'm even here doing a podcast because I've always like loved the idea of podcasts. I always thought, oh, it'd be cool to have one. Never had the ability or like bravery to go try to create one. But I thought it would always be fun to
yeah,
be a guest or do one,
yeah,
and now here I do that for my job sometimes, and it's like the
yeah,
coolest thing. So,
yeah.
I love
There
it.
you go. Perfect. All right. So tell me about Toothpillow
Yeah.
because I am incredibly fascinated by this. And that's why when you had reached out, I want to bring this on mainly for me. Again, I bring on guests selfishly for me, but I also know that there's other moms out there struggling. I have a daughter, my oldest, actually has a very severe underbite. She's had it since
Mm.
she was born.
Okay. How old is she?
She's 7.
Okay, perfect age.
So we've already been like to an orthodontist and things like that just to kind of get a plan of action where we're looking at like a palate expander. They were telling me, like, obviously braces are probably gonna have to be in there just for alignment and stuff like that, but they were also telling me, like, headgear, but not like the typical headgear. They were saying it's like a cage. It's like I don't know what they called it, but it's like they said
Like
it
a
looks like a
reverse head pull or something? Is
yeah,
that what
it's
we're
like to
talking
pull her, like, jaw forward and that way
Mhm.
this and I'm like, "Oh my god," and then because I or surgery where I'm like, it's so it could be that severe, and this is, like, one of those things that I said to my husband, I was like, "It's only gonna get worse as she gets older." Like, we have to and it's, like, affected her speech, it's affected, like, her tongue placement and, like, things like that where, and she's a mouth breather. She's always been a mouth breather. Even my youngest is a mouth breather. And I have a thumb sucker. My middle is a thumb sucker. I can't break him. He's 5 of it. It is like the hardest thing to break him of. And then my youngest is 3 and a terror. She scares the living crap out of me and also makes me so proud. But she's a pacifier lover, like loves her passy. And we're trying to like figure out a plan as to how the hell we're gonna do this. But yeah, I want to help them because this is all so new to me that you don't think about your mouth and what it can do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, so I will send you some photos because we have some patients with that underbite, or
Yeah.
generally we call it class three. It kind of gets the nickname the bulldog bite, where they jumped it and they're now in incorrect occlusion. And so I'll send you those. And these are moms that have given us permission to share, so you can maybe overlay them or however you want to do with that.
Yeah.
But so let me kind of go back and then I'll kind of circle around. So the guides that we use, we call them Toothpillow because it's a fun little nickname. We use the Vivos guides and the Myo Brace, two guidance appliances that have been around for many, many years. There's just not a lot of dentists doing this. So many people don't hear about it. And so the typical ortho trajectory used to be when you're 12, when you have all of your adult teeth, you can go see the dentist, the orthodontist, and then they'll do braces. And many, many years ago back then, by that time, their jaw was too small. They didn't have room to accommodate all of their adult teeth. So they would just pull the premolars, so one
Yeah.
in each quadrant, and then push everything back. And so the smiles would be straight and relatively maybe somewhat aesthetically pleasing. Instead of that big Julia Roberts smile, they'd be narrow, but the teeth were
Yeah.
straight and the bite was right. And that's all they really cared about. But what we've learned is when we, instead of expanding the jaw to make room for all the teeth, if we take extra and shove everything back, now the tongue has no space
Mm.
to suction up in the roof of the mouth. And then we start to have other issues because of that. So now a lot of times we thankfully have started to see, okay, at 8, we can start expanders and kind of go that
Mhm.
route, which is definitely better than what we used to do. Because at 12, I think females are over 90% developed in the head or neck.
Yeah.
And so it's like so hard to move things around. Like, why are we
Well,
waiting till
that and
puberty
like
starting?
that and I don't like talking about my daughter about this stuff, but I have a feeling she'll probably go through puberty a little bit earlier than
Yeah.
other kids just based off of her body style, but based off of like her genetics. And she takes very, very much after my husband's side of the family. And I've talked to his sisters and stuff like that, and they started early. Where like
Uh-huh.
I think about that and I'm like, again, you don't realize like how much puberty, like,
And
yeah,
girls dentally, like their dental age is always advanced. Like they tend to lose their teeth faster and sooner, and they kind of develop a little bit faster than boys. And so we're missing all of this opportunity. My favorite way to describe this is when a baby has a flat head, as fast as you can, you put a helmet on that baby
yeah,
because they're like Play-Doh and things
yeah,
just move so fast and that head will round out. Never would you say, okay, well, when they're 12, we'll figure out how to get this head round again. Well, what's happening is in these 3-year-olds' mouth, they have these big open bites. They have that underbite. They're clearly not developing correctly. And instead of waiting till we're 12 to figure it out, you can put something as simple as a guide appliance and do some great mouthfunctional therapy. And like miracles happen. And it's so cool to see those open bites close, those class 3 bites jump, and cross
I would,
bites fix.
yeah,
And so people, like let's say your daughter, if we like I've seen a 3-year-old who had an underbite and it corrected. And now maybe once he gets to 12, he might need some clear aligners, or if he wants his teeth to just be perfect, absolutely. But there is no headgear. There's no like hard
yeah,
it
because
very
that's the thing. Like, I think when they're telling me all this stuff and like, absolutely, I'll do whatever I need to. But like
right,
hearing about
right.
stuff like this, where I would rather try this first
Yeah.
and see, and especially at we're in an early age where we have that time to play with this.
Mhm.
And I do have younger kids that I know right now, like my son is starting to get a little bit of rainbow teeth because how do you not?
Yeah.
Like, if you're doing this all
Yeah.
the time, we're getting them better. Like, with like at
Uh-huh.
nighttime, we're trying, night is where it's hard because it's just,
Mhm.
but we're trying to like limit it to only if you're sleeping and not anytime other than that. But and then my
I love
daughter,
that.
like,
I've never heard rainbow teeth. I've never heard it described like that. So I'm gonna have to
yeah,
start
it's hard.
using
I
that.
mean, I see it so often because all of the like the main what are the Binky
Yeah, they're thumb
that brand or that brand of passive it's the round
like
ones,
nook,
Avent.
the nook.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
Avent or
the
ones.
hospital ones, the ones they get
Yes.
in the hospital. Yeah, my
My
boys
daughter, they like the
have the
ma'am.
Wubba-Nubs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we had
Yeah,
the ma'am
it's
one.
the
We have
worst.
ma'ams.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
got.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah. So something so gentle, and so the way Toothpillow works, because again, not every child is a candidate. Sometimes we do like we're at an age or the way they're presenting, they really do need more intervention than what Toothpillow can provide.
Hmm.
But when a mom submits photos, she submits 6 photos and answers a sleep questionnaire. It'll go to Dr. Ben Moralia. He is the first one to say, yes, this child's a great candidate. Like, they're going to get great results. I feel really confident that, with them being treated virtually through Toothpillow. And if that's the case, they'll go to the state provider. The state provider will record themselves reviewing each photo, helping mom understand what they're seeing, how we can help, how the symptoms are correlated to their mouth. Because a lot of times the mom's like, why are we asking about D and tonsils and adenoids? Like, how is this all related? And so they'll explain that to mom. And if they want to start treatment, they can. Now, if a child is denied, we then will help find them a really great provider local to them that has expansive airway ortho in mind. So we know they're going to
Nice.
be in really good hands.
Okay.
Because worse than doing nothing is going to a provider that's going to do retractive orthodontics and make things worse. That's kind of that's the process there. And I'll use my son. So I have 2 boys, very stereotypical firstborn, personality wise, very stereotypical secondborn. Their names are Leo and Rowan. And Rowan, at 4, he started pre-K. And when we would do school, my husband had to do the morning routine because he was just miserable in the mornings. Every morning was like a fight, a meltdown. So I don't know if this is an appropriate joke, but I was going to end up on the news if I did the school routine. So I was like, you
Yeah.
have to do it. Like, you have to do this. But when we would wake him up, he would be twisted in the sheets. He would be on the floor. He'd be sweating. He would wake up looking like he was wrestling a bear all night.
Yeah.
And he would go to school and the teacher was calling me all the time. And this is so new because I had a firstborn. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
They would let him sleep from nap to pick up because if she woke him up, she couldn't teach the rest of the day. And I was trying to decide, like, is this like typical behavior or like this feels like a lot?
Yeah.
And like he just could not regulate his emotions. So we got him in Toothpillow and it took us about 6 weeks to get him successfully wearing the guide at night. And then shortly after that, all of a sudden, we're waking him up and he's at the head of the bed. He's fully covered. He's quiet. He's
Mm.
breathing through his nose. He's waking up like ready to tackle the day. And
Yeah.
then the teacher's noticing. And then all of a sudden, me and my husband, like something will happen where we like lock eyes like he's about to lose it. And he didn't. And we're like, who is this child?
Yeah.
And it is so incredible what a good night's sleep can do for a child. He has a
Oh, no
beautiful.
kidding. Yeah.
And I think back postpartum, like I'm going to cry over things that don't typically make me cry. I'm going to get angry because I'm so tired.
Yeah.
And so what's happening to these kids, what we are really passionate about is I was kind of getting close to the conversation of like medications or, because it was getting that bad. And I was
Yeah.
so desperate. I honestly just wanted some relief.
Yeah.
But so many people aren't looking at their airways. So at night, he's tossing and turning because his tongue is low. It's not up in the palate. It's not staying out of his airway. So his
That's my
body.
daughter. That is my daughter. Like literally everything you're saying is my daughter. She is crazy in how she sleeps. Like she asks me she's like, do you want to have a sleepover? And I'm like, absolutely not.
Not with you.
I was like, absolutely not with you. Cause you are like, she'll be like head towards the end of the bed, like whatever. And then same thing. She's in first grade, but granted, she woke up this morning complaining she was tired and she didn't go to bed until 11. I caught her
Yeah.
like awake and she snuck her tablet in and I was like, get that out of your room. But a lot of the times lately, she's been waking up saying, I'm tired. She doesn't want to do a whole lot. Like, she doesn't want to like move. And I'm like, I don't know why you're so tired. Like, I don't understand. But these aren't things like as a mom, like when you think about, I've always said my kids are good sleepers and that my kids are really good at going back to bed when they've woken up. And I like saying that, like, if they wake up, it's not like they're asking to come in my bed. Never had trouble getting my kids back down and settled. They can fall asleep on their own. Like that's what I've always thought about sleep training, but no one actually talks about like the
Quality.
quality of sleep. It's more
Yeah.
just the regiment of it.
I pride myself. I slept with my mom till I was way too old, probably. And so I like told myself these babies are not gonna ever like. I want independent, good sleepers, and I was always very proud of that. Like they could
Same.
sleep. It was like
Yeah.
my superpower. Like, yeah, my baby
Same.
sleep.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they would have like even Rowan, I was like, okay, he sleeps 12 hours, but
Hmm.
he was not getting into restorative rhythm. Like he was tossing and turning. And the way Dr. Ben, one of our founders, explained it to me is if he's not getting the right amount of oxygen at night, his body's going to tell him to roll over. Our bodies are smart. They're going to always
Yeah.
want to be protecting us. So that shift in position is
Is
kind of
getting them.
his body's,
Yeah.
yeah. And so the tooth pillow guide it holds their jaw in the proper alignment. So they're
Yeah.
keeping everything up nice and open. It's forcing that nasal breathing, which we want versus mouth breathing. But
Hmm.
that's a whole nother thing. I can talk for another hour on that. And then it has it's designed to help train the tongue to live up and suctioned out of that airway. There's
Gotcha.
this device that I don't recommend, and I see the ads for it probably because my phone knows I'm always looking at airway stuff, but it literally suctions your tongue, like holds your tongue out of your mouth, and it's to
God.
help keep your airway open at night. And I get why they're,
God. Yeah.
but it's like, no, let's just teach our tongue to do it. Like
Do it
our
on
body
its
knows.
own.
Yeah. And so, yeah. And it was really cool to see in like 6 short weeks, this transformation of him. And I got to love, like, he was more like, you know, he was so much easier just to enjoy, like,
Yeah.
and go to the parks and go to the museums. And I mean, he's definitely still the second born little boy. So he kept his spunk, but it was now more appropriate versus this was extreme. Like this is
Yeah.
extreme behavior.
Yeah. Now, with like the kids having these draws, because I'm even thinking about myself. I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
trying to think, because this is just like one of those things where, funny enough, I actually makes sense to me because have you ever seen I've seen it on social media where girls will do like the trick when they take a picture from the side profile, they'll
Mhm.
suck their tongue up so that way it gets rid of a double chin.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like when you relax, you'll get more of this. But if you really focus on, like anyone listening, really focus on bringing your tongue up to the roof of your mouth and you'll feel that all tighten. But girls would do that when they're like, and celebrities, I guess, know how to do that and
Mhm.
like constantly keep their jaw. So it makes sense to me. But then it makes me think about like how many women probably, it's all just never been addressed where I'm like now
Yeah.
thinking about that. But I had another thing I was going to say.
So
Oh, where do they say it all starts from, though? Like, when I
yeah.
think about my daughters, is it from pacifiers? Is it from thumb sucking? Like, should I be kicking myself that I've been letting my kids have a pacifier this long? Okay.
No,
You could
it's
tell me.
so so it's truly an epidemic because people will say, well, everybody has this. Well, yeah. So tell me the last person you met that went from a baby to adulthood with all 32 teeth, meaning their wisdom teeth, and no need for braces. Like
Yeah.
that is a unicorn. My
My
husband.
husband.
Yeah.
My husband. What
Yeah.
the hell?
But it's a unicorn. It's very rare. Nowadays, getting your wisdom teeth out and getting braces is just rite of passage, like getting your driver's license. It's
Yeah.
a milestone in your life.
Yeah. He
But
has all of his wisdom teeth. He's never had braces. He has a small gap in between his teeth, but he
uh,
loves it. And so he
yeah.
was like, I'm not fixing, but he's never had a cavity.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well,
I'm
that
like, I
all
hate
link
you.
it
I hate
all it
you. I
all
hate you.
it all links together. It all links together. That's my husband. I want to punch him in the face. He's never had a
Mm-hmm.
cavity.
Yep.
But what that also tells me is he has a big, beautiful jaw, and we'll kind of talk to how you grow that naturally. But it also means he's probably not a mouth breather because mouth breathing causes cavities. And when you're underdeveloped, okay, it's just like
Yeah.
this whole little thing. But if you
Yeah.
look at skulls from hundreds of years ago and you dig them up, they have all their teeth and they're straight. Like if you look at a skull in a museum, their teeth
Funny.
are perfect, and they didn't have braces back then because we
Yeah.
used to grow and develop like we're supposed to. Because a lot of people say it's your genetics, but it's not. It's the lifestyle that we live. Um, in our Western culture, we started introducing the soft food diets, and we're not
Mm.
using our muscles and our jaws because the muscle and the tongue is what grows this beautiful jaw. We have deficiencies. So a lot of it is our lack of breastfeeding or prolonged breastfeeding. I barely made 3 months and I had to go back to work. Like in our culture, breastfeeding is hard and it's hard to do it extended. And then even if you do that just right and perfect, we go to a soft food diet. So babies are eating like melt in your mouth puffs and
Mhm.
purees, and they're not having to use those muscles and they're
Mhm.
not having to chew. And so those are really the big factors because there's even today, like if there's like Inuit tribes in Alaska and that they rarely need any intervention. They have these big, beautiful smiles and teeth.
Yeah.
And it's because they don't have blenders and they're not making purees and soft foods. They're literally chewing and working and getting their
No,
jaw
it's like
strong.
that baby-led
Lead
weaning or
weaning.
whatever.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
tried it. I tried it. It's so hard too because you get so freaking
Scared.
stressed out. Oh my
Yeah.
god, yeah, about, like,
Yeah.
choking and all that stuff. Yeah, I tried it as much as I could, but then I was like, "Yeah, screw it, puree. I don't care,
Yeah.
puree." So,
And
anyone
then,
listening, don't stress. Don't stress about
yeah.
this stuff. Like,
And
again,
it's also like I got reamed in a meeting the other day for
yeah.
work because my kids had the webinar, and I said, if I had another baby though, I probably would give them because it was like their favorite thing. I actually like their favorite ones are like tattered and I saved it because I wanted to shadow box it.
Oh, yeah.
And I said I would probably, knowing what I know and I know better, I feel like I would still do it. So we just can't beat ourselves up. And
No. You
yeah,
gotta
we
pick
try
it's
our
again,
best. Yeah.
you pick your battles, like, that's the biggest thing with parenthood, motherhood is you pick your battles, and you
Yeah.
have to do that your entire life, and sometimes you have to look at it's like breastfeeding. If you can't produce and you're struggling to produce and it's mentally
Mhm.
weighing on you and you have to go back to work and it's too much, you have to go back to work and your mental health
Survive.
matters
Yeah.
more than breastfeeding will ever. I'm a huge believer in that. Mom's mental health and well-being comes first. So you
Yeah.
got to do that too. Also, like, and same thing, like knowing what I know, like my daughter is three
Mhm.
and a half. No, three. She's 3 in February, so she's not officially a half yet, but
Yeah.
she still has a pacifier. Is she too old for one? Yes. But also, she doesn't have it right now. I might have my left eye twitching. Okay. It's just, I need it until, and I told to my husband, I was like, I'm the problem. I know it's me. Eventually, I will come to a place where I can mentally figure out how to get this sucker out of here. But until then, it is what it
Transition,
is.
you should look. So the perfect transition for our passy babies is the tooth pillow because a lot of times, because 3 is a hard age, right? So these guides are compliance based. They work miracles, but your child has to wear it, right? And some of our really severe cases, little sweet little 3-year-olds that are just suffering, like we have to work hard. We have to get them wearing this because it's going to change their life. But a lot of times, if they're a pacifier baby, they take
They
to it
might.
really well. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like taking the bad habit and then like replacing it
Filling it
with
with a good one.
yeah, yeah, and then they
Mm,
just really like that oral fixation, and a lot of
yeah.
times we become thumb suckers because the tongue is supposed to be at rest, and when we're sleeping, the tongue should be pushing on the roof of the mouth, and it hits that vagus nerve, and it causes that, like, relaxation, like, comfort
Yep.
feeling.
Yep.
So a lot of thumb suckers, if they have a tongue tie or maybe their tongue never learned to do that, they compensate with their thumb because they're given
Hmm.
that comfort. And also it's like our nature's own, we call it a mandibular advancement device. So a lot of people with sleep apnea, they'll wear this, we call it a MAD, and what it is
Hmm.
it's pulling that lower jaw forward to keep their airway open at night.
Mm.
But these little babies, if their little chin is back, they'll put their thumb in because it pulls their airway and they
Oh,
sleep
yeah.
better at
Yep.
night because they have their thumb in.
I know.
Same with
That
pacifiers.
was my son. So my oldest took a pacifier. We actually did that. I think she slowly started to kind of wean herself out of it. My first was kind of weird. She always like called the shots with stuff, and then I think we
Mhm.
cold turkey like and on vacation. Like I've always said, that's like one of my biggest tips for moms. Just having my 3 is if you have to do a big transition, sometimes vacations are the best time to do it. Family trips, not vacations. Because for me, at least, when we're on vacation, my kids don't sleep as good. We're already out of routine. Like things are a little bit wacky. So I'm already kind of going into the mindset of being like, I'm not going to be maybe getting the best rest. So I'd rather do like the hard things then. So I cut her pacifier out cold turkey on vacation, just pretended like I forgot it. And I didn't bring it. Like I just said, we have to force ourselves to do this. Maybe I should do that this summer. Ugh.
It's not
And
fun.
then,
I
no,
think that's why my kids were good sleepers because after 2, I think it was, that's the only time they could have it is when they were sleeping.
I know. Yeah.
And so they would be like, "I wanna go to bed," and it's because they
Yeah.
wanted the pacifier. So I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, let's go to bed," and then they were just
Yeah.
so happy to be able to get it.
Yeah,
Um,
and then with my son, he was the thumb sucker, and I loved it because I didn't have to wake up in the middle of the night and
Like,
put a
get it.
pacifier in the mouth. I just knew that he had that, and it was like he slept so good when he finally figured out the thumb thing because I
Mhm.
had him swaddled when, like, moms all bring 'em babies home and swaddle them, and some babies don't want to be swaddled. Like you figure that
Yeah.
out. Like that's newborn life. I'm so glad that's the years behind me. I
It's so
loved it, but I'm glad because
You're
I just
bringing up,
remember.
like, not PTSD, I don't wanna say that, but, like, I feel so far removed
Yeah.
from that life because it's so funny, I tell my husband because you start to get baby fever again, and it's because life is a little too easy. We sleep in,
Hmm.
the boys sometimes, like, they know they don't come get us, and, like, all of a sudden we'll get out, they have, like, a whole breakfast they made for themselves, and we're like, and, like, we're almost down. My 7-year-old still has the booster, but we're almost car seat free, and it's
Yeah.
like, "Man, this feels so weird." We feel so free, and it's like, "Let's go mess it up and have another."
Well, that's it. Yeah, I know, right? I just said to my husband yesterday, I was like, I love doing stuff, small business, but I also I love animals, like I said. So
Mhm.
I actually want to work with the rescue organization, and they reached out to me and wanted to know if I might be interested in fostering and then like sharing the dogs on social media. And I just love that idea so much. And I told
This
my
is
husband, he was like, no, and I was
this
like,
is my, foster fail over here.
oh my gosh, is it a Australian Shepherd Collie mix?
I think so funny that you say that. You're the 3rd person to say the mix, and I think so. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, yeah, our dogs passed away, our big dogs, these 2 guys,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the old age or whatever, and I saw a ad for him. My husband's like, "Literally, it's been 1 month. Can you just chill?" And so we didn't act on it, and then all of a sudden, I got an ad that he was on death row, and so, like, because it had been a few weeks and nobody so
Took him, yeah.
he was set to be put down, and I said, "Oh, we have to go get him." So a rescue got him first, um, and then so we fostered him from there, and then he's just
See,
still
and
here.
that's what I said. I was like, because I talked to a lady and she was, and this is a side conversation, but again, that's why.
Yeah,
Welcome to the Picking Daisies. We have fun
yeah.
here. It's like just two moms chatting. But I talked to a lady and it was like, I've never fostered. So like, what do I expect? She's like, honestly, you probably won't have them very long. Like usually people only have them for about a week because they're puppies and it's very quick to go. We just need someone because they bring them up from the South and just need someone to house them in that interim. And I was like, and she's like, we pay for everything. You're not going to be burdened if you have to go out of town. We will find someone. We have a whole network of it. And I was like, I think this would be so fun. Like, I just think it would be great and whatnot. But my husband's like, our life is getting easy, Mary. Why do you have to bring a puppy into it? And I'm like, because I just need chaos apparently in my life.
Yeah,
I'm not good at resting.
I
But
know. I'm that lady it's like my Cinderella or my, Snow White or
mhm,
whichever princess.
mhm.
Like, they just find me, okay? Like, they find me. These guinea pigs we've had them for like 5 years now, and I don't know. It's like I think you have something about like your personality, and
It
it's just
is.
like
It's like yeah, it's the Snow White effect. Someone actually just said that. They're like, once, and because when I shared about the bird recently on Instagram, because I was so sad. Like, I still am. It's been a week, but I'm like, it devastated me because he was just so sweet. But someone had comment, they're like, once you unlock the Snow White effect, there's no going back. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I know exactly what that is because it's just, I love them. There's like a something, but that's a side note. Anyway, all of that to say is we love chaos. And
Yes.
I'm glad to meet another mom that shares that with me. But this has been so incredibly helpful because now I'm going to be getting off this. We're going to be talking more because I want to do this now for all my kids, honestly.
Yeah.
Insurance. Is this like an insurance thing with like moms and
Yeah,
like,
so FSA and HSA for sure, it's qualified for that. And then as far as like your dental insurance goes, you can file. So we currently don't have it set up to where we can bill on behalf of families, but we can give them a super bill and then they can file for reimbursement and it goes against the ortho benefits. I will say, because insurance is insurance, I really like to present this like it's a bonus if we get payment from them because I will say of the moms who attempt reimbursement, about 50% of them are seeing it. So they're getting at least half to a handful of moms I saw got full reimbursement, which was so exciting.
yeah,
But I've also saw moms fight with it and never receive anything. So I say it's worth it. Like,
yeah.
definitely try, but
Pricing
don't get
wise.
your hopes up.
And I don't have to include this in the episode, but pricing
Yeah,
wise,
you
because
can.
I'm asking.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
2-year program, currently is, 1995. We always have, a discount of some kind going on. I can even give one for your
Is
listeners so
that
that
per
they'll
month
get,
or what is it per month? Is it like a
oh, so
1990?
like
Go ahead.
1,000, so almost
Oh,
two
okay,
thousand
yeah.
dollars,
Okay,
and
yeah, yeah, that's
that
fine.
covers the whole 2 year program. Any of the devices that are prescribed during that time, you'll check in every 6 months with your provider. So you'll send in photos, they'll review them, they'll see, do you need to go into a different guide? Do we need to stay in the one that you're currently in? And we also offer fully customized functional therapy, which we didn't dive into that. Essentially, it's just training the muscles of the face, which is a lot of kiddos really desperately need that in addition to. So that's how much our program is. And just comparatively, so all of what we're doing, you can also receive in office. You can go
Yeah,
to an office in-person care, which makes sense for some people. They really want that like connection with the doctor in office. And
yeah,
on average, it's around $4,000 to receive that care in office. And it just varies doctor to doctor, but that's kind of a good way to kind of range it. We have lots of different payment options and plans. We try to do our best to we know how life changing this can be. We don't want finances to be the hurdle for families. So that's why
yeah,
we exist, to be
yeah,
honest,
yeah,
is we wanted to make this type of care more accessible, more affordable. And then lastly, things like this, educate educate
yeah.
families that this is here. And it's not always right for every family either, in the sense of they may not be approved, but we're going to help them. We're going to help find them a great provider and kind of walk them through that. We have under 3 coming soon, and we also have teens and adults coming soon, which is super
Okay,
exciting. For
yeah,
sure to launch this year, like for sure at some time
cool.
this year it'll launch. I don't have any exact dates because we keep running into different things and delays. So I don't love to give
Yeah,
time frames, but I can feel very confident say it will be this year.
that is very cool. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
like fascinated. I'm gonna be all over this after where I get off
Yeah.
with you because
I
I'm
know.
just
Yeah.
yeah, because we know that that's coming for us. Like we've already known that, like, we've been told about my daughter's again, it was since she was born. Like I have
Hmm.
pictures of looking at of her at like 3 months, 4 months, and she was
Yeah.
always tongue out. And it's gotten worse as she's gotten older and all that stuff. And we've just been waiting for like the molars to come in before we had plans. But when I hear about like her possibly having a palate expander that I would have to twist every now and again, that sounds freaking awful when they're telling me that she has to wear like a cage on her face. Like literally the way they described it was like it's a hockey mask that she would have to wear at night, sleep in it. And she wouldn't have to wear it to school. And I was like, okay, I was like, I don't want her, like, I don't want this, like, for her. And it's shitty. And I have to also say too, for moms, like I breastfed all of my kids. So again, just remember that. Like I did all that stuff. We tried the baby led weaning. It's just the way their mouths are. I don't know. I don't know where it went wrong. My kids took past five. I don't give a shit. But all that to be said is it doesn't matter. I love that there's help. Like I love that there's
Yeah.
help and
And we're 7 generations jacked up. So when you look at the introduction of our modern food, it's we're so many generations.
generations.
It took
Yeah.
7 generations to get us to the epidemic we're in. It's
Yeah.
going to take more to reverse it. So I always tell moms, because we're so hard on ourselves and we're like, we should have did this, we should have did that. It's like you could have did everything right, and
Yeah.
you would still be in this situation because of
Evolution. It's like,
the
yeah, it's
society
like
that's
literally, if you
telling you.
think about it, yeah, that we're all
And faces
evolving.
and faces are changing. You won't be able to unsee it now. I was getting coffee the other day and I'm watching all of the baristas. They all have these retrognathic chins that are pushed back, and they have this face. And I'm just looking at,
Yeah.
I look at jaws and teeth, and I'm looking at that all day, every day. And I'm just like, all of them, and what this is telling me, they all have poor breathing and sleep quality. And I'm just like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it's like
Interesting.
everybody needs, it's like you'll just keep an eye out. Airport's the
Yeah.
best place.
Well,
When you go to the
even
airport, you'll just always see
just
somebody.
in general, I think the thing that I'm learning too is that sleep apnea, because I think for me, when I hear sleep apnea, I just think about my dad. Like I think about my dad who snores in his chair and then all of a sudden he
Yeah.
just he'll fall asleep and and same with my mom, but they do it and then it's like a squeak. They're like, and then we have to like do something. I'm like, wake up. It,
Yeah.
but
All
I'm like,
that does
I
is
just thought that
give
that's what,
me heart palpitations, because
yeah,
I'm like, I always tell people that I know so many that even have the diagnosis, they see how
Yeah.
many times they stop breathing at night and they still choose to just do
Yeah.
nothing. And I'm like,
But I even like, it makes me wonder about myself even because, like, I'm
where are
trying to,
you
like
at?
I'm in, New Jersey.
Okay, yeah, I there's so many great because you could
I
easily
know
get
you
a
guys have a
sleeping.
provider for yeah, I know
Yeah.
like, I also think about that, but I also my oldest was speech delayed, and a lot of that
Mhm.
had to do with her articulation, and, even my youngest was recommended for speech therapy, although at the end of the day, what's frustrating about speech therapy is that they don't address the articulation portion, it's more about the receptive expressive, like, if they can understand it, like, if they're saying dog, like, and whatever, and it's pronounced wrong, as long as they mean a dog, like, it doesn't matter, like, it's one of those things, and because it's, like, it's not considered enough to be covered, it's so frustrating, and with my youngest, I can tell that she has a little bit of the same tongue, she's, like, very similar to my oldest, like, they look very similar, and I can tell that their jaws are very similar, and she has, like, the full expressive receptive, and, but I could tell that her articulation really stinks, and I was talking to the speech therapist about it, and she's like, I don't really do a whole like, we work on the muscles of the mouth, but, like, finding someone that really specializes in, like, myofacial
Yeah.
stuff like that is really hard to find, and I think, like, that's where you get stopped is because you're like, "I don't know where to take this now." Like, you just feel helpless, and just to find someone that, like, can help me figure this all out, so nice.
Yeah, and there's not enough providers, and so for the longest time, Dr. Ben, Dr. Callie, Dr. Goals, they were really focused on teaching more dentists, right? So they're like, they were on the speaking circuit. They're educating. They're trying to get more and more doctors like caught up to speed, caught up with the new literature, and practicing this to help more families. And at some point, they realized this is going way too slow. We're going
Mhm.
straight to the families, and we're going to educate these families. And what's really cool is getting in front of these moms, helping them understand they're seeking out these providers and that need is helping more and more go and get training. Before, just trying to implement airway in their office, it's like was kind of difficult. But now it's like if you have all your patients asking for it, you're gonna go learn it and you're gonna start doing it
Yeah, because it
and
makes
getting
me
them
I mean,
trained.
we're in between dentists right now. We had to leave our recent dentist who I'm so bummed about our insurance stopped taking them, or
Mhm.
working with them, but I gotta find a new one, so this makes me now wanna seek out one that
Yeah.
specializes in this because I just like, that's the frustrating thing is, like, if you thinking that there are dentists that don't know about this or aren't learning more about it, and then it's also just hard because, like, it's frustrating, like, for me, I go to the dentist, I brought my kids to the dentist, and some dentists are very like anti-pacifier, anti any of that, and make you feel like shit. Like they literally just make you feel like crap. I brought my son, the thumb sucker, to the dentist, and the dentist we had was different at the time. And we went to a pediatric office, and he was like, I told him, I was like, it's very hard to break. I was like, we are working on it, things like that. And he was like, I recommend taking an ace bandage and wrapping it super tight around your son's elbow. That way he can't bend it in the middle of the night. And I was like,
I would be so scared of cutting off the circulation.
thank you. I was like, I don't like that idea at all. I was like, I'm not
Yeah.
doing that. That sounds no, like that's miserable. I don't know. If
And
he's
there's a
doing it for comfort too.
psychological, yeah, there's a
Thing, yeah. I was like,
psychological component. When I worked in pediatric dentistry, and I don't necessarily fully agree with this method anymore, but they used to put like a cage at the roof of the mouth to like
yeah,
prevent thumb sucking. And the dentist I worked for didn't love it either, and he would only use it on the most extreme cases. I now know how awful those are because they lock the jaw, they don't allow the jaw. Like I have a whole thing. But the one thing I did love about this dentist is he would only do it in extreme cases and he would have a long conversation with the patient. It was so cute. He'd be like, it's not a punishment, it's a reminder. And like
yeah,
he made sure that like emotionally they were ready for that.
yeah.
But it's
And
hard.
it's hard. It's
It's
hard.
hard.
And it's just like I
Yeah.
feel like moms then get very lost or they get shamed, so they don't want to share about it too. Cause I think that's also a thing. Is like even me talking that my 3.5-year-old has a pacifier. If I share a video of her right now having a pacifier, you know how many comments I will get? So, like, it becomes a whole shame game, and so moms keep it secret, and then also I think it's frustrating too because then you go referred from your dentist to orthodontics, and it's like, you don't know who I don't know, it's just like, I feel like
And
all the information gets crisscrossed and you don't like
yeah,
it's very
it goes
confusing.
Dr. Billy Arnold, he's one of our providers. He said something so beautiful because, like, we're talking about tongue ties, and you can go to this provider, that provider, and you're getting like what feels like three different stories, three different opinions. And at the end of the day, the mom was like, well, what is right? Like, what do
Yeah.
you do? And he said, you trust your mom intuition. You trust your mom gut. You take that and you decide. He's like, I can tell you my opinion, but I want you to listen to your, like, you, and
Yeah.
you take it. And that's kind of like how I feel when I'm talking about Toothpillow and airway dentistry. Somebody always wants to argue. Somebody always wants to say, well, this dentist said this. And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of opinions out there.
Yeah.
But what I can do is speak from an experience. I can share how this has thoroughly impacted my life. And I have seen now thousands of children transform. So you can believe that dentist that wants to naysay or be whatever. You can. That's
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
right. But
Well, and that's the thing is like you gotta just go with it, and that's I love that you're saying that. I love that you're sharing that this
mm,
doctor's name too, because I've always said that and I've shared it before for anyone listening, especially for new moms. Because again, if you're a new mom, if you have little ones, like you and I, like you just said, like we're very far removed. Like it's been many years
mhm.
since I've been in that phase of life, but it is a very sensitive time for moms because there's so many opinions and you're fearful and you want to do what's best for your kids and you don't anxiety and my intuition look exactly the same. They're like twin sisters. You just have to like figure out which one has the freckle off. And it's hard to figure that out. And that it's like walking on eggshells in that time of life. And I always say, like, you have to find a provider, like pediatrician, dentist, whoever, nurses, even when you're pregnant, like nurses, doctors, your midwives, OB, anyone you meet in life. If they make you feel stupid, they're not for you. Ask a stupid question. Ask, like, I've always told that to like any doctor. I'm like, even when I had my third and I was in the hospital and the nurses would come in, they're like, oh, you know what you're doing. And I'm like, actually, pretend like I don't. I was like, just treat me like I don't because I was like, I don't. And I loved it because I just, no one needs to feel that way. Everything is confusing in that time and you don't need anyone to shut you down. And if anyone does, get the hell out of there and go find
And
someone else.
I think as a mom, I've become confident in all my decisions now
Hmm.
because I'm on this place where they turned out okay. So, like, all of my
Yeah.
decisions and all the bad decisions, like, you know what?
Yeah.
They're okay. But I feel
Yeah.
like when I was in the thick of it, you don't know the end, so you're so scared to make these decisions, and you're so, like, feeling all this way, and then it's not until, like, a few years later, you're like, "Why was I so upset?" Like, for me, breastfeeding was hard, and it didn't work out, and the depression, like, I felt so little about myself, all these things, and now I'm like, "Why did I even care?" My son
I
just got
know.
the Max Scholar Award, like,
There
this
you go.
formula baby was so smart, and granted, if I had another, I would
Yeah.
still try to breastfeed
Of
again, and
course.
I
Yeah.
think but, like, sometimes in the moment, you have such strong emotions because 'cause you're in it, but then it's not till you're out of it and you're like, "It all
Yeah.
works out, just
That
do your
that
best."
and you just kind of, again, it's like that serendipitous feeling, like,
Yeah.
it kind of comes for I don't know, you get I think maybe that's why you and I are in this phase of life where it's terrifying, don't get me wrong, this phase of life is still
Mhm.
scary because now they're, like, more independent and that, like, is
They
freaky.
wanna go play down the street by themselves, and you're like, "Ah, I don't know."
Yeah. Yeah, it's scary, but it's scary in new ways, but it's also easier in others in that, like, I feel more at peace, I feel more confident, like you said, in making that, but, like, you feel more confident because people have encouraged me to be, and providers have encouraged me to do that. And I also say too, like, you're not going to always get it right. Like mom intuition and mom gut, sometimes it's wrong. And that's why, like, if you go to a doctor that's like, don't make you feel stupid. I said that I shared this once when I was pregnant with my third. I had a lot of anxiety leading up in the pregnancy to her. I just was always afraid that something was wrong was going to happen. And I had a day, I think it was like 17 weeks, where I woke up and I was convinced that something was wrong. And I had a moment and I called my midwife crying and I was like, please. And she was like, come in. And she came and she took the heartbeat and she looked and I just started crying. And she was like, you don't ever have to feel bad about doing this. She's like, I brought you. She's like, don't ever feel embarrassed. She's like, we have to trust a mom's gut, but sometimes mom intuition is wrong. Sometimes it is anxiety. Sometimes we do confuse what it is and it is our fear and whatnot. But the only way to kind of learn, like I said, it's a one freckle. It's like a identical sisters, but one has a freckle off. But the only way that you get better is by getting to sit with them each
Yeah.
and getting to notice who's in front of you, like type of thing.
Yeah.
So don't disregard it, get to know it instead. And I'm like, okay, I love that. So
Yeah.
that's what I always try to tell moms. It's like, you're not going to get it right, but you're going to learn And then
Mhm.
going forward, it will get a little bit better. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
it's
know,
been really I like you said, this phase of life, like, it has its own struggles, so it's not perfect, but I don't know how old you are, I'm 33, but I feel like I somebody told me
35.
you're gonna
Yep.
okay, someone told me you're gonna love your 30s, like, she's like, "I love my 30s," and I really have been, like, just
Yeah.
the perspective and, like, I just feel a lot more easygoing because I had really horrible anxiety, postpartum anxiety, depression, like, I went through a lot and I still have it, so I don't know why I'm acting
Same.
like I don't, but
I know. Right?
I just feel so much more, like, self-confident, like, I don't
Yeah.
know, it's like it's
Yeah.
been a unique phase.
It's more accepting of it. Yeah. I think this phase of my life, like you said, same thing.
Mhm.
I've always had it. I struggled really significantly mentally. I go through my shit. And I finally feel like I am not confident, but I'm no longer embarrassed of what I have.
That's what it
That's what
is.
it is. It's
That
like
is
I'm no longer
exactly what it
embarrassed.
is.
I'm not like because I think for the longest time is like we always are brushing it off. Like it's okay to not be okay, but like literally, it's okay not to be okay. Like I just
Yeah.
at this point where I'm just I don't. It's almost like the overthinking made it worse. Like because the anxiety it was
Mhm.
the fear of anxiety that made it worse. Where I'm like at this point, I feel that way, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna sit. We're gonna sit. And I have people in my life now too, like this is my work. But like if I woke up this morning and my anxiety was off the roof, I would message you and I would just say, like, hey, I can't meet today. I don't maybe not tell you, but I could figure it out. And I have people in my
Mhm.
life that I could easily wake up and be like, not feeling it today. I will be back on tomorrow. Because I know that they're adults that probably
Yeah.
feel the same exact way. Like,
Yeah.
I've yet to meet anyone that has not, except my
That
husband, except because he
okay,
says he
okay, I
never
was just
feels
about to
fucking
ask
anxiety.
that. I was just about to ask that because it was so similar. Because my husband doesn't have it, so
Yeah.
if I'm alone in a car and nobody's talking to me, I'm gonna be crying, and
Mhm.
because my thoughts love to just, like, plan
Mhm.
funerals that don't exist or,
Yeah. Mhm.
like, and he'll always look at me like, "What are you crying about?" I was like, "I'm
I don't
going
know.
weird places up here, like, I'm just thinking
Yeah.
about sad things, I don't know why I do that." He can't relate, he's never had that, and he's like, "Just don't think about that." And I'm like,
Mm-mm.
"That's
I'm gonna
not a thing for me." But
helpful.
you said it so perfectly, it's still there, but you're not embarrassed by it, because that's what I'm like, as I'm saying this out loud, I was like, "Well, I'm still struggling with all the things I struggle with, but I'm not embarrassed by it anymore, I've come to terms with it, I'm just like,
Yeah.
this is life, this is." And so I
Life
just feel so
evolves, you go through
yeah,
different phases, and I think, like, for me, it was, like, a big stigma. I think mental health is, like, a big stigma and all that stuff, but I think, like I know a big turning point for me is I sat down with a bunch of the nice thing about my children getting older is, like, the different conversations evolve of, like, we're not talking whether or not we breastfed our kids or any of like, we
yeah.
don't give a shit, so no one cares. It's now, like, evolved into, like,
Now
screen
we're
time
talking
and
about fit
like screen time, yeah, braces, things like that. But we were all sitting and I was sitting with a bunch of moms at a birthday party and everyone for some reason they conversation came up with like Prozac or something. And then each one of them, it was like 10, all went
yeah,
around. They're like Lexapro, Zoloft,
it's all the same.
Prozac, whatever. Yeah, Lexapro now. And I was the only one that wasn't on anything. And I'm gonna be honest, I was actually really proud of myself. And I
Uh-huh.
kind of took it as I'm stronger than everyone else, but yet on the inside, I was really, really shitty. But there was such a stigma about like mental health for me didn't count because I wasn't medicated for it yet. And I was like, that does nothing for me. And it was this fear. And that's like the whole thing of me, like finally is like coming to an acceptance of being like, it's just my life has changed. Like I could in 10 years it could be completely different. And in 5 years, in a year, it could be completely different. I don't know. But right now I need it for where I'm at. And I'm like, I don't care anymore. And I realized like everyone, there's so much more that people can relate on than they were let on to know. That's why we're talking about this. We started about teeth and
Yeah.
now we're getting into this. And it's my
And I
favorite.
love when people just talk about, like, the embarrassing things, cause or the things that they're shameful of, because 'cause I'm learning we're all the same. It's just like so when more and more people just talk about it, you're like, "Oh, you're
Yeah.
just like me, like, you're just
Yeah.
the same," and
Yeah.
yeah,
It's the
it's
best.
yeah,
Yeah. Good. Well, okay. I have a hard stop, so we're gonna wrap it
yeah.
up. But I loved this conversation. This
Yeah,
was so good.
so
I am
fun.
totally going to have to chat with you off of here just to go from that. But for everyone listening, please, I'm going to link all the information about Toothpillow in the show notes. And if I try this, I'm fairly confident at this point we're going to be doing this because I haven't heard about something as great as this to start off with. And if I do, I will document all of this and bring you along with me because yeah. And thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
All right, Mama, that is a wrap on today's episode of Picking Daisies. I hope today's chat left you feeling seen, understood, and maybe even gave you a good laugh along the way. As we all know, motherhood isn't easy, life isn't easy, but it's moments like these where we can connect and share our stories that really help make that load feel a lot lighter. So if you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean the world to me if you could take a moment to leave a rating and review. Your feedback not only will help this show grow, but also it will make sure it reaches other moms who might need that same dose of honesty, humor, and heart. And don't forget, if something in today's episode resonated with you, share it with a friend or hop on over to Instagram or wherever you connect on social media and keep the conversation going. I love hearing your stories and being a part of this journey with you. Thank you for being here and for showing up for yourself. And then, of course, sharing that space with me. So until next time, remember, we all grow through what we go through. You've got this, Mama. I'll see you next week.